The Dragon King was a ruler feared by all. His scales shone like fire, and his eyes burned like molten gold. He ruled the skies with pride, and his word was law. Every human colony, every small village under his shadow, trembled when they heard his name. But even a king had secrets, and even the mighty Dragon King had something he wished to hide. That secret was his daughter. She was not like the other daughters of dragons. The other princesses were tall, graceful, and covered in bright scales that glowed like jewels. Their wings stretched wide and proud, their claws sharp, their beauty feared and admired. Songs were sung of their beauty, but this daughter was different. Her scales were dull, her wings too small, and her face did not hold the grace of dragons. Her eyes were too large, her body clumsy. Even her voice cracked when she tried to roar. To the Dragon King she was a shameful sight. He called her ugly, he called her weak, and in his pride he laughed at her. The courtiers whispered behind their claws. The dragon lords mocked her in secret. Even the servants smirked when she passed by. But no one dared speak too loud, for the Dragon King's anger was death itself. Still, the king himself never stopped mocking her. To him, she was not a princess. She was a joke. One day, the king was filled with cruel amusement. He gathered his generals, his courtiers, and his servants into the grand hall. His voice thundered across the stone. "Humans think they are clever," he growled. "They send us gifts, they beg for peace, they bow before us. Today I will return the favor. Today I will give them a gift of my own." The dragons leaned forward, curious. What would their king send? Gold? Fire? A monster? The Dragon King's cruel smile spread. "I will give them her." The court gasped. His ugly daughter lowered her head in shame, but her father did not care. He lifted his claw and pointed at her as though she were no more than broken metal, no more than trash to throw away. "She will be their gift," the king laughed. "Let the humans see her. Let them mock her. Let them know what I think of them." The hall filled with cruel laughter. The princess stood frozen, her heart breaking, but no one defended her. No one dared. And so, with chains of gold and guards of fire, the dragon princess was sent away. The journey was long. The skies darkened with storm, and the air was heavy with shame. She said nothing as the guards led her across mountains and valleys, over rivers and forests, until finally they reached a small human colony on the edge of dragon lands. The humans gathered, their eyes wide with fear. They expected fire and destruction. They expected death. But instead, they saw the dragon guards throw something onto the ground before them. It was her. The dragon princess lay on the earth, weak, bound, humiliated. The guards spoke with voices like thunder. "From the Dragon King," they sneered. "A gift for you." Then they spread their wings and rose into the sky, leaving her alone among strangers. The humans stared. Some whispered, some laughed. Children hid behind their mothers. Men looked at each other with mocking smiles. "Is this a gift?" one man said. "She looks broken," another muttered. "Ugly creature," someone spat. The princess lowered her head. Her father's words echoed again and again. Ugly, weak, joke. And then, among the crowd, one man stepped forward. He was not strong, not powerful, not noble. He was a mechanic, a man who worked with rusted machines and broken tools. His hands were always dirty with oil, his clothes worn with labor. He was no hero, no warrior, no lord. But his eyes were different. Where others saw shame, he saw something else. Where others mocked, he stayed silent. And where others laughed, he stepped closer. The mechanic looked at the princess, not with fear, not with disgust, but with quiet thought. His heart whispered something the others could not hear. This was no monster. This was no joke. This was someone lost, someone thrown away, someone who carried a story hidden behind her eyes. The humans around him shouted, "Stay back. She's dangerous. Don't touch her. She's the Dragon King's curse." But the mechanic did not move away. He crouched beside her, his voice calm, his words soft. "You don't look like a curse," he said. The princess blinked. It was the first kind word she had heard in years. The crowd laughed louder, mocking both of them now. A human with grease-stained hands, and an ugly dragon princess chained like trash. But for the first time in her life, the princess felt something stir inside her. Hope. And deep in the skies above, far away in his grand hall, the Dragon King laughed to himself, believing he had shamed both his daughter and the humans. He did not know, he did not see, that his cruel joke was the beginning of something far greater. The mechanic looked at her again and whispered, almost to himself, "Maybe you are not what they think you are." And so began the story of the mocking gift. A gift meant to humiliate, but one that would soon change the fate of both humans and dragons forever. The dragon princess sat in silence, her chains heavy, her heart heavier. Around her, the humans whispered and pointed. To them, she was a strange creature, half princess, half monster. The colony was small, built of stone and wood, filled with smoke from machines that never worked right. Humans here lived hard lives. They worked from sunrise to sunset, fixing, building, and surviving. None of them wanted the burden of a dragon girl, except for one, the mechanic. His name was Tomas, but most simply called him the Fixer. His hands were black with grease, his hair messy, his face lined with years of struggle. He was not rich nor noble, but everyone came to him when their machines broke down. Old engines, farming tools, even defense cannons left from ancient wars, he could bring them back to life. But Tomas was also strange in another way. He did not laugh with the others. He did not mock. Where others saw dirt, he saw worth. Where others saw trash, he saw a treasure waiting to be repaired. And when he looked at the dragon princess, chained and broken before him, he felt the same. The crowd expected him to back away. But Tomas stepped closer. "I will take her," he said simply. The people gasped. "Are you mad?" One man shouted. "She's a curse from the Dragon King," another woman cried. "She'll kill you in your sleep," a soldier warned. But Tomas only shook his head. "She's not a curse. She's just lost." The leaders of the colony didn't argue long. To them, the girl was a danger. If Tomas wanted to risk his life, let him. Better him than anyone else. So they gave her into his care and washed their hands of her. And so, the ugly daughter of the Dragon King was led to a small workshop at the edge of the colony. The workshop was filled with machines, broken and half-built. Metal parts were scattered everywhere. The air smelled of oil and fire. To others, it was chaos. To Tomas, it was home. He placed food before her, though she did not eat. He gave her water, though she barely touched it. Days passed in silence. She sat in the corner, ashamed, waiting for mockery, waiting for cruelty. That was all she had ever known. But Tomas never mocked. He worked on his machines, his tools clanging, sparks flying. Sometimes he glanced at her, but his eyes were not cruel. They were calm, patient, like he was waiting for something. Finally, one night, the princess spoke. Her voice was rough and used, but soft. "Why?" Tomas looked up from the machine he was repairing. "Why what? Why did you take me?" The mechanic wiped his hands on a cloth. He thought for a moment, then said, "Because I don't throw away broken things." The words struck her like fire. All her life, she had been told she was broken, useless, but never had anyone said it with care, with hope. "Machines," Tomas continued, "they may look useless, rusted, dead, but inside, there's still life. If you know where to look, if you know how to listen, you can bring them back. People are the same." The princess lowered her eyes. "I am not beautiful. I am not strong. My father says I am nothing." Tomas leaned closer, his voice steady. "Maybe your father doesn't know everything." The days turned into weeks. Slowly, she began to help him. At first, only small things, holding tools, passing parts. But Tomas noticed something. Her hands, though clumsy at first, were steady. Her eyes, though sad, were sharp. She understood machines quickly, almost as if she could hear their hidden language. One day, while Tomas struggled with a broken engine, she reached out. Her claws touched the gears, her eyes glowing faintly. The engine roared to life. Tomas stepped back, stunned. How did you? She looked away, ashamed. Dragons. We can hear the heartbeat of fire. Machines carry fire inside. I can feel it. I can wake it. Tomas stared at her, amazed. She was not weak. She was not useless. She was something no human could ever be. But outside the workshop, whispers grew. The villagers said, "The mechanic is mad. He loves the Dragon King's joke." Others warned, "She will betray us. She will destroy us." Even children mocked, throwing stones at the workshop when they passed. But Tomas never listened. And the princess, for the first time in her life, did not feel like a burden. She felt needed. One night, as the stars burned above, Tomas spoke again. "You are not what they say. You are not what he says." She turned to him, confused. "Then what am I?" Tomas smiled softly, though his hands were black with grease, his clothes torn. "You are a mystery, and mysteries are worth keeping." For the first time, the dragon princess felt warmth in her chest. Not fire, not dragon flame, something gentler, something stronger. Hope. And far away, in the halls of the Dragon King, her father still laughed, believing his joke had shamed her forever. He did not know, he did not see, that the ugly daughter was learning, growing, and changing beside the human mechanic. And that one day, she would not only repair broken machines, she would repair broken hearts. The dragon princess no longer sat in silence all day. Slowly, piece by piece, she began to change. At first, she only handed Tomas his tools, or held a small lamp while he worked. But soon, she started asking questions. What does this gear do? Why does this pipe carry smoke? Why does this wheel turn slow? Her voice was soft, but curious. Tomas would explain, his hands moving as he showed her the inside of the machines. And to his surprise, she understood. She understood better than many men he had taught before. Machines had fire inside them, and she was a dragon. She could feel the hidden life in every machine, the silent heartbeat of heat and pressure. Where Tomas struggled with hours of work, she could find the fault in minutes. And together they began to fix what no one else could. One afternoon, a farmer came, desperate. His plowing machine had stopped, and the crops would fail without it. Tomas and the princess worked side by side. She crawled into the broken belly of the machine, her claws steady, her sharp eyes searching. "There," she whispered, pointing at a piece of twisted metal. "This is the wound." Tomas smiled. "Good eye." Hours later, the machine roared to life. The farmer gasped, overjoyed, but then frowned when he saw who had helped. "That creature," he muttered. Tomas's face hardened. "That princess." The farmer shook his head and left, muttering to himself. The princess lowered her eyes, shame pulling her down again. But Tomas only smiled at her. "Let them say what they want. The machine works. That's all that matters." She looked at him, surprised by his calmness. No one had ever defended her before, and for the first time she felt safe. As weeks turned into months, their bond grew. The princess laughed for the first time in years, a small laugh that sounded strange to her own ears. She tried human food, though she preferred it burnt. She touched the stars with wonder, asking Tomas to tell her the names of constellations. Tomas too changed. He found joy in teaching her, in watching her discover the world. Her sharp mind amazed him, but more than that, her heart touched him. She was gentle where dragons were cruel. She was humble where dragons were proud. But outside, the colony did not change. The whispers grew darker. Children shouted insults when she passed. Men laughed behind her back. Women warned their children not to go near her. "She is a curse," they said. The Dragon King's ugly joke. One evening, when Tomas and the princess walked through the colony, a group of young men blocked their path. "Why do you keep her, mechanic?" one sneered. "Do you love a monster?" The others laughed cruelly. "Maybe he does. Maybe he cannot find a real woman." The princess froze, her claws trembling. She wanted to run, to hide, to disappear. But Tomas stepped forward, his voice sharp. "Enough!" The laughter stopped. His eyes burned with quiet fire. "Mock me all you want, but mock her again and you'll answer to me." The men fell silent. Not because they feared him, he was only a mechanic after all, but because they had never seen him so fierce. With grumbles, they left. The princess whispered, Why do you protect me?" Tomas looked at her. "Because no one protected you before. And because I don't see you as they do." Her heart beat faster. She wanted to ask more, but fear kept her silent. One night, as they worked late in the workshop, the princess suddenly stopped. Her sharp ears caught something. "Tomas," she whispered. "Listen." He frowned. "I don't hear anything." "Exactly," she said. "Too quiet." Moments later, the sound of steel boots echoed outside. Shadows moved through the village. Soldiers. Raiders. The colony was under attack. Tomas grabbed an old weapon, a rusted blaster barely holding together. The villagers screamed as the raiders poured in, burning houses, stealing supplies, dragging people into the night. The princess stepped forward, her wings trembling. "I can fight." Tomas grabbed her arm. "No, if they see you." But it was too late. A raider spotted her, his eyes widening. "A dragon!" he shouted. The others turned, weapons raised. The villagers screamed louder, now fearing her as much as the raiders. The princess's heart pounded. She had been mocked all her life, called weak, ugly, useless. But deep inside, fire stirred. The fire of dragons. Her claws lit with flame. Her eyes burned. She struck, her roar echoing across the night. Machines around them came alive, as if answering her call. Engines roared, gears spun, broken weapons fired again. The raiders screamed as fire and metal tore through their ranks. The villagers stood frozen, watching in shock. The ugly daughter was not weak. She was power itself. When the battle ended, the raiders lay scattered, their weapons melted, their courage destroyed. The villagers, once mocking, now stared with wide eyes. She saved us," someone whispered. "Impossible," another said. "A miracle," someone else breathed. But others frowned. "Or a curse." The princess lowered her head, afraid of their judgment. But Tomas walked to her side, placing a hand on her arm. His voice was clear, strong. "She is not a curse. She is our shield." The villagers said nothing. Fear and doubt still lingered in their eyes. But deep inside, a seed of respect had been planted. The princess looked at Tomas, her heart trembling. For once, she was not a joke. For once, she was not ugly. She was something more. And far away, in his golden hall, the Dragon King heard whispers of what had happened. His ugly daughter, his mocking gift, had fought like a true dragon. The king's smile vanished. His pride burned with anger. "My joke," he growled, "is becoming something else." And in the darkness, he swore to take back what he had thrown away. The colony had changed. Before, the dragon princess was nothing but a shadow, mocked, whispered about, feared. But after the night of the raid, everything was different. People could not forget what they had seen. The ugly daughter of the Dragon King had stood against raiders and fire. She had called life into broken machines. She had burned through enemies like the breath of a storm. Some villagers whispered she was a blessing. Others said she was a danger. But one truth was clear: she was not weak. And for the first time in her life, the princess felt pride. But pride was dangerous. Tomas noticed it first. She worked harder in the workshop, her hands moving with confidence, her eyes sharper than before. She asked more questions, learned faster, and pushed herself further. Machines that had been broken for years were reborn under her touch. But sometimes, when she thought no one was watching, her claws trembled. Her fire burned too strong, too wild. One evening, while Tomas repaired a broken cannon, she placed her hand on the weapon. Flames spread along the metal, glowing like veins. The cannon roared to life, stronger than ever before. Tomas stared at her, stunned. "That was incredible." The princess shook her head. "It was dangerous. If I lose control, everything will burn. Tomas stepped closer. Then learn to control it. Fire can destroy, yes, but it can also protect. You proved that already. Her eyes softened. You believe in me too much. Tomas smiled faintly. No, I believe in you just enough. But not everyone shared Tomas's faith. The village council called a meeting. Leaders, soldiers, and farmers gathered. The princess stood at the edge, her wings folded tight, while voices rose in anger. She is dangerous, one man shouted. She saved us, another argued. Saved us today, perhaps. The first snapped. But tomorrow? What if she loses control? What if the Dragon King sends more soldiers because of her? The room filled with shouting. Some feared her. Some defended her. The princess lowered her head. She had seen this before. No matter what she did, no matter how much she proved herself, people would always see her as a curse. But Tomas stood and raised his voice. Enough! She has risked her life for this colony. If you cannot see her worth, then you are blind. I will stand with her, even if none of you will. The room fell silent. The council ended the meeting without decision. But the seeds of doubt had been sown deep. That night, the princess sat outside, staring at the stars. Tomas joined her, carrying a piece of broken metal he had been shaping into a tool. You defended me again, she whispered. I will always defend you, he replied simply. Her eyes glistened. But what if they are right? What if I am dangerous? What if I hurt you? Tomas leaned back, looking at the stars. Danger is everywhere. Machines explode. Fires spread. People betray. But I don't live in fear of what if. I live in trust. And I trust you. Her heart tightened. For the first time, she wished she could believe in herself the way he believed in her. Days later, danger returned, greater than before. At dawn, horns blared. Soldiers ran through the streets. The colony scouts had seen them, raiders again, but not just raiders. These were organized, armed with machines of war. The villagers panicked. Defenses were weak, weapons old, walls crumbling. Tomas and the princess rushed to the workshop. He prepared his machines, welding and fixing in frantic speed. She stood beside him, fire glowing in her veins. When the attack came, it was worse than anyone imagined. Giant war machines thundered toward the gates, their cannons blazing. Raiders stormed the walls, breaking through defenses like paper. The villagers fought bravely, but they were outnumbered, outmatched. Tomas cursed as his repaired cannons failed under the assault. We can't hold them. The princess's heart pounded. Fear gripped her, fear of failure, fear of losing control. But then she saw Tomas, standing firm, refusing to run. Something inside her snapped. Wings spread wide. She rose into the air. Fire burst from her claws, from her mouth, from her very soul. Machines around her trembled, then obeyed her call. Engines roared, gears spun, weapons fired with unnatural power. She had become one with them. The raiders screamed as fire and steel tore into their ranks. Their mighty war machines, built to crush villages, turned against them. The princess's fire flowed through the metal, bending it to her will. The villagers watched in awe, their fear forgotten. The ugly daughter of the Dragon King was no longer a joke. She was a storm. Hours later, the battlefield lay silent. Raiders fled into the night, leaving their dead and their broken machines behind. The colony still stood, though scarred. The villagers gathered, whispering in awe. She saved us again. She turned their own weapons against them. She's not a curse. She's a miracle. But not all voices were kind. She's too powerful, one man muttered. If she ever turns against us, we'll all burn, another said. The princess heard their words, though they tried to hide them. Her fire dimmed, her wings folded. Doubt gnawed at her heart again. Tomas walked to her, placing a hand on her arm. Don't listen to them. You saved lives today. That is the truth. She looked into his eyes, searching. But what if the truth changes tomorrow? Tomas squeezed her arm. Then we'll face tomorrow together. Far away, in the golden halls of the Dragon King, word of the battle reached him. His laughter shook the walls. So, the humans cheer for her now? They call my ugly daughter a hero. But beneath his laughter was fire, burning hotter than rage. He had sent her as a joke, a gift of mockery. And yet, she had turned against his will, rising as something greater. The king's eyes narrowed. If humans see her as treasure, then I will take her back. She belongs to me, and I will remind her what it means to defy the Dragon King. The colony slept that night, unaware that a storm was coming. The princess stood alone under the stars, her heart heavy. She had power now, power greater than she ever imagined. But power brought fear from enemies and from friends. And in the distance, across mountains and skies, her father's shadow grew closer. The Dragon King was coming. The colony slept uneasy after the battle. Smoke still rose from broken houses. The wounded cried softly through the night. And yet, for the first time, the village still stood after such an attack. It was because of her. The Dragon Princess. The same princess her father had mocked as ugly. The same princess the villagers had once whispered was a curse. She had saved them twice now. Some called her a miracle. Some still feared her. But all of them knew, without her, they would have been nothing but ash. And far away, in the golden halls of his mountain palace, the Dragon King finally heard the truth. The Dragon King sat on his throne, his claws tapping the stone, his eyes burning like molten suns. Messengers knelt before him, their bodies trembling. She fought the raiders, one stammered. She turned their machines against them. She commanded fire and steel as if they were one, another added. The king's lips curled. First he laughed. His voice shook the walls, cruel and thunderous. My joke, my shame, my ugly daughter, now praised by humans? The laughter faded. His face hardened into stone. No, he growled. She is mine. She belongs to me. If she has power, it is dragon power. If she has strength, it is dragon strength. And if she has become a treasure. His claws dug into the throne. Then no human will keep her. He rose, his wings stretching wide. Send my soldiers. Bring her back in chains. If she resists, burn their colony to the ground. The courtiers bowed low, their voices trembling. Yes, my king. And so the storm began. In the colony, days passed with uneasy peace. The villagers rebuilt what they could. Tomas and the princess worked harder than ever, repairing walls, fixing broken tools, bringing life back to machines. But whispers never stopped. She's too powerful. What if she turns on us? She saved us. But she's still his daughter. The princess heard it all. Each word was a knife. She tried to hide her pain, but Tomas saw it in her eyes. One evening, as the sun bled red across the horizon, he found her sitting alone, staring at the broken horizon. You're quiet, he said softly. They will never trust me, she whispered. No matter what I do, they will always see me as his daughter. His joke. Tomas sat beside her, wiping oil from his hands. Then let them. They do not need to trust you. I do. And I do not see a joke. She turned to him, her eyes wet. What do you see? A treasure, he said simply. Her heart burned. No one had ever spoken those words to her. For the first time, she almost believed them. The peace shattered days later. At dawn, shadows fell over the colony. Dragons. Dozens of them. Wings spread wide. Fire burning in their throats. Villagers screamed, running for cover. The princess froze, her heart pounding. She knew those banners. She knew those soldiers. Her father had come for her. The lead dragon roared, his voice like thunder. By order of the Dragon King, the princess is to return. She belongs to him. Fear spread through the villagers. Some shouted, "Give her to them. We cannot fight dragons." Others cried, "She saved us. We cannot betray her." The council gathered in panic, voices clashing. She is the king's daughter. If we keep her, we all die. If we surrender her, we lose the one who protects us. The princess stood in silence, shame washing over her. Once again, her father's shadow had fallen on her life. She wanted to run, to give up, to end the pain. But then she felt a hand on hers. Tomas. His eyes were steady, unshaken. "You don't belong to him anymore," he said. Her lips trembled. "But I am his daughter." "No," Tomas said firmly. "You are more than that. You are you. And you belong where you are wanted, here with me." Her heart tightened. Could it be true? Could she really belong to someone, not as a joke, not as a curse, but as a treasure? The dragons landed at the gates. The leader roared again. "Bring her forth, or we will burn this colony to ashes." The villagers trembled. Some stepped back. Some pointed at her, fear in their eyes. But Tomas stepped forward, standing between her and the dragons. His voice was small against their thunder, but it was strong. "She will not go." The dragon laughed cruelly. "A human dares defy us? You are nothing." "Perhaps," Tomas said, "but I am nothing who sees her worth. And I will not let you take her." The villagers gasped. The dragons sneered. The princess's heart pounded. No one had ever stood for her like this before. She spread her wings, stepping beside him. Fire burned in her veins, not with shame this time, but with fury. "I am not your joke anymore," she whispered to herself. The sky filled with fire. The dragons prepared to strike. The colony braced for death. And in that moment, the princess's hidden power surged. The machines around them, cannons, engines, even broken scraps, roared to life, answering her call. The villagers stared in awe. The ugly daughter, the cursed gift, the king's joke, was now their shield, standing proud beside a simple human mechanic. And far above, in his golden palace, the Dragon King felt the first taste of something he had never known before: fear. His ugly daughter was no longer under his control. She was no longer weak. And worse, she was loved. The colony stood on the edge of ruin. The Dragon King's soldiers surrounded the gates, their wings blotting out the sun, their fire burning in their throats. The villagers huddled together, trembling. For them, there was no hope. No one fought dragons and lived. Yet, at the front of the colony stood two figures. The princess, once mocked, once called ugly, once abandoned. Her wings spread, her fire glowing bright. And beside her, Tomas the mechanic, his hands scarred, his clothes black with soot, but his heart unshaken. They faced the storm together. The lead dragon roared, "You dare defy the king? You dare keep what is his?" The princess's claws trembled, but her voice was steady. "I am not his. I never was. He called me a joke, a curse. But I am more than what he says." The soldiers laughed. "You are nothing without him." Tomas stepped forward. "No, she is everything without him." The princess's fire flared, answering his words. Machines along the walls shuddered and roared, their broken hearts waking under her touch. Cannons turned. Engines growled. The village itself seemed alive. The soldiers hesitated. This was no weakling princess. This was power, fire, and steel together. And then the sky shook. The Dragon King himself had come. Wings vast as mountains, scales burning like molten gold. His roar cracked the earth. He landed with thunder, the ground trembling under his weight. The villagers fell to their knees, terror freezing their blood. His eyes locked on her. "My daughter," he growled, his voice like a storm. "You forget yourself. You belong to me." The princess lifted her chin. For the first time in her life, she did not bow. "I do not belong to you. Not anymore." The king's laughter rolled like fire. "You are weak, ugly, nothing without my name. Do you think these humans love you? Do you think this mechanic can protect you from me?" The princess's heart pounded. Old wounds screamed in her soul. She wanted to crumble. She wanted to believe his words. But then she felt Tomas's hand slip into hers. Warm, steady, unafraid. He whispered, just loud enough for her to hear, "You are not ugly. You are my treasure." Her fire exploded. The battle began. The king unleashed flames that turned stone to ash. His soldiers attacked from the sky. The colony shook under the assault. But the princess answered with fire of her own. She no longer held back. She called the machines, the engines, the weapons, all came alive at her command. Cannons thundered, gears screamed, and broken walls rebuilt themselves with glowing steel. Tomas fought beside her, guiding the machines, repairing under fire, refusing to retreat. Where she brought power, he brought purpose. Where she brought fire, he brought focus. Together they stood against the storm. The villagers, seeing their courage, found their own. Farmers grabbed weapons, soldiers rallied, even children carried water and supplies. No longer did they call her curse. No longer did they whisper ugly. Now they shouted her name. Princess! Princess! The king's fury grew. He struck harder, his fire endless, his pride burning hotter than the sun. You are nothing, he roared. You are my shame. You will kneel. The princess screamed back, her fire blazing, her wings spread wide. I am not your shame. I am not your joke. I am me. Her flames clashed with his, lighting the sky in gold and red. The earth shook, machines roared, villagers cheered. The king faltered. For the first time, his fire met resistance he could not crush. And in that moment, the ugly daughter, the one he had cast away, stood taller than the king himself. At last, the king fell, wounded, broken, his pride shattered. He spread his wings and fled into the night, his roar echoing with rage and shame. The soldiers scattered with him, their courage gone. The skies cleared, the fire dimmed. The colony stood battered, scarred, but alive. The villagers erupted in cheers. They rushed to the princess, their voices full of awe. You saved us. You defeated him. Our hero. For the first time in her life, she was not mocked. For the first time, she was not ashamed. She was loved. Later, as the sun rose over the quiet colony, Tomas stood beside her among the broken machines. His hands were bloody, his clothes torn, but his smile was soft. You did it, he said. She shook her head. We did it. He looked at her for a long moment, then spoke the words that would stay with her forever. You were never ugly. Not to me. You were always a treasure. Her heart ached, but not with pain. With warmth. With hope. For the first time, she believed it. Far away, in the mountains, the Dragon King nursed his wounds. His pride was gone, his laughter silenced. He had mocked her as a joke. But the joke was on him. The daughter he threw away had become the one thing he could never control. A treasure. Not his treasure, but the treasure of a human mechanic, and the hope of a new future where dragons and humans might stand together. And so the story ended, not with chains or shame, but with fire and steel, with love and courage. The dragon princess, once mocked, once broken, was no longer the ugly daughter. She was a hero. She was wanted. She was exactly what the human mechanic always needed.